Alright guys, welcome back to yet another brand new Major Ben video. I'm still trying to get this freaking audio sorted because my room is so echoey since I've moved house. The windows don't close properly because they just don't, and things are loud in the background. So I am definitely going to be getting a microphone upgrade probably next month at this point because it's kind of driving me insane trying to spend so much time editing the audio to try and cut out background noise, but you don't care about this. Let's get into the video. So there is a lot of talk about 30 FPS at the moment, and it's driving me crazy and it's driving a lot of other people crazy. Two of the next gen games that have launched, in fact three actually, if we throw in the horror game that came out like a year ago on Xbox. I can't remember what it's called. You run the two worlds simultaneously, that game anyway, along with Batman, which is just terribly optimized. That game absolutely should be able to run on consoles at 60 FPS, maybe not the Series S, that's understandable. And then obviously Plague's Tale. Plague's Tale is where this differs for me personally. I strongly believe that Plague's Tale Requiem cannot physically run on Series X, and yes, I mean this, at 60 FPS. I think the best option this game has to run close to 60 FPS would be, and this is if we're talking natively, even 1080p, I don't think it will physically run this game at 60 FPS at 1080p natively on the Xbox Series X. I just don't think it's possible. I genuinely don't. What needs to happen, and I don't understand why it still hasn't happened to this day, is that Microsoft need to just flipping bring out the FSR 2.0 features for these games. This is not the developer's problem. Microsoft needs to sort this out now. Like, FSR 2.0 is a fantastic tool that should be utilized on Series X. This is a game that could then run at 1080p, 60, maybe 1440p. I don't know. It's a very, very tough game to run, but FSR 2.0 would definitely give us some sort of 60 frames mode. Without that, I genuinely don't think it's possible. We may see a patch, I might be wrong, but I'm just saying, in my personal opinion, I genuinely don't think this game is doable at 60 frames on the Series X, and definitely not the Series S. This is something that's just not going to happen on the Series S. Series X stands more of a chance, definitely with FSR 2.0. That is a feature that's fantastic. My RTX 3080 in my current PC with an i9 11900K cannot run this game at native 4K by any means. It can do it with DLSS on auto, not even on quality. My PC with a 3080 cannot run this game. The minimum specs is a GTX 970, which can do 1080p 30 FPS. It struggles. The 2080, the RTX 2080 will struggle to do this natively at 1440p. It barely can do it. If you turn on DLSS, it can. This game is demanding. And this brings me on to the next point, which is kind of the point of this video. I think we are heading for a 30 FPS generation. Unless there's pro versions of these two consoles coming out, we're not going to see 60 FPS games throughout the entirety of this generation because these consoles, yes, they are powerful, but the games are getting more demanding. And I think this is something that a lot of tech people on YouTube, big streamers for podcasts and big tech channels that talk about Xbox or PlayStation have completely forgotten that, yes, these games can run at 60 frames right now, like Assassin's Creed Odyssey that got a patch or whatever, but they're not going to be doing that on next gen games because these games are not running the old kind of style. This is completely different. We're talking much more advanced games here. Like even a Plague's Tale Requiem, you can tell by just playing that game, and I can tell by playing that game on my PC, and there's going to be gameplay in the background of this video, that this game is far more demanding than anything we've seen before. Whatever you want to bring to the table, this game is far more demanding than anything we've seen before. And this is worrying for these consoles. I mean, I play PC, as I've said many times now, but for these consoles, it's a little bit disappointing because you get sold, and so many people have got sold on this 120 FPS stuff that Microsoft and Sony are talking about, and 60 FPS games. You know, yeah, okay, the games can do that currently with the games that are running cross-platform, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla or any of those types of games. But as soon as you get an open world game with Plague's Tale kind of graphics, you're not going to stand a chance. We're talking Plague's Tale, which is very limited to a certain area of the map at that time. That can't even run at 1440p 60. Maybe not even 1080p 60 on these next-gen consoles. You're not going to get a game open world like Assassin's Creed or anything like that with these kind of graphical settings running at 60 FPS. You're just not. And I think that's severely disappointing for these next gen systems. You know, I just don't really get like how people didn't think this already. Like I've been thinking this for a while and like talking about it on my channel for a while and just saying that, yeah, we're getting 60 FPS games now. There's certain games that only run at 60 FPS at 1440p already. Like, what do you think is going to happen when we start getting more advanced games? Yes, it's scalable and you can reduce things, but there's only so much you can reduce. Like, you can take Plague's Tale and you can chuck it down to, like, it's already running not ultra settings, it's running like high and medium, combined of high and medium settings. So, yeah, you can reduce it to low or ultra low, but then it's like, well, you're not even getting remotely close to the game that you should be when you're playing at that sort of low resolution. And at the same time, you know, you're not going to want to sacrifice that, and the developers certainly aren't going to want to sacrifice that. They're not going to want to showcase their Series X and PS5 versions on the ultra low settings or low settings. Like, they're not going to want to do that. They're going to want to show their game the best possible settings. And as per every game last generation, the way to do that is 30 FPS on console. That's just how it is. And as I've been saying this last week or two, the best way, if you want 60 FPS and you can afford to go the PC route, that's the only way you're going to get a confirmed stable 60 FPS. If you can't afford a PC, then you're not going to be able to get a consistent 60 FPS experience throughout the entirety of this generation. You're just not. And that's fine. It's okay. But the fact that people are defending this so much, saying, oh, it's bad development on Plague's Tale. I agree on Batman, it is. But Plague's Tale is not badly developed. That game is very good. It's actually very well optimized. PC hardware, not so well optimized, but for those consoles, the fact that it's able to do 1440p, 40 FPS, if you've got a HDMI 2.1 VRR display, then fine, it can do that, but you're not going to be able to get this for the rest of the generation. We're talking a Plague's Tale, which is a very small game in very small sectors of the game. People like Todd Howard have already said in interviews that he prefers 30 FPS. He's out of his mind, so Starfield might just be a 30 FPS game on Xbox. That's completely ridiculous to me, and this is exactly why I jumped ship from consoles about a year ago now to switch to PC. I can't play 30 FPS games anymore. Like, even on Series X, like when I had the 60 FPS games that were coming out, it's such a game changer playing open world games and story games and general games at 60 FPS. It's so much better, and going back from that now is just horrible. It's just not fun to play. So all right, well, that's pretty much it for this video. I don't think I have much more to say. That's my opinion on the situation at the moment. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. I'm always interested to hear your opinions. But that's kind of where I stand. I think 60 FPS, not having 60 FPS is a real disappointment for some of these games. And I think they just aren't going to be able to do that in the future because these consoles just simply will not be able to do it with more demanding games. Yes, they can do it with existing games, with the styles of games that we have currently, with the way those games are optimized and the way they work. But future games are going to be different. They're going to be a lot more demanding, and people have not taken this into account when talking about 60 frames and 120 frames on consoles. It's just not been taken into account for. People haven't thought, oh, well, games are going to get more demanding, aren't they? They're not going to stay the same as they are now. They're just not. So games that run at 60 FPS now, the future second prequel, the other games aren't necessarily going to be able to do a lock 60. So that's where we're at. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in future videos. Bye-bye for now.